Well, ladies and gentlemen, it would seem as if our great President Joe Biden has one final plan with which to screw over America. You see, just the other day, Joe Biden put forth an idea that would effectively be handing the cartels a $57 billion yearly business. And no, I'm not kidding. Take a look.
With less than 2 weeks to go in the Biden administration, a regulatory review proposes that nicotine levels in cigarettes be mandated and lowered. The plan is getting accolades from anti-tobacco advocates, while others are interpreting it as essentially a ban on cigarettes that would exacerbate the black market on American streets.
Now, I'm not a smoker or a nicotine user. Caffeine is enough for me personally, and I never thought that I would be in a position to defend cigarettes in a weird way. But yeah, what happens if cigarettes are banned? I'll tell you what, the cartels pick up immediately where Joe Biden leaves off. And why can we say that with 100% confidence? Well, we can look at what happened during alcohol prohibition days when the mafia stepped in, or better yet, we can look at what's going on right now in our country with the cartels flooding the country with drugs on a daily basis. And given the cartels already seem to be pretty effective at smuggling things into the country, let's hope that changes soon, by the way, would it really be much more difficult for them to get some cigarettes across the border? I don't really think so. But okay, just how big is the cigarette industry and just how disruptive would Biden's ban on cigarettes really be?
According to a recent National Health Interview survey, 11.6% of American adults use cigarettes.
Okay, so 11.6% of Americans smoke cigarettes, and if you look up the stats, that's around a $57 billion yearly industry. So if Biden tells 11% of Americans that they can't have cigarettes anymore, which are highly addictive by the way, do you think all of those people are just going to stop smoking overnight? Or do you think the cartels would immediately step in to create a cigarette black market? Yeah, this whole idea just seems completely incompetent, but you know what, to be fair, let's hear both sides of the argument.
FDA Commissioner Califf said back in 2022, quote, lowering nicotine levels to minimally addictive or non-addictive levels would decrease the likelihood that future generations of young people become addicted to cigarettes and help more currently addicted smokers quit. However, critics of the rule say it will cause current smokers to use more cigarettes to compensate for lower nicotine levels, further harming their health.
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. Either people would start smoking 2 times or 3 times or 4 times as many cigarettes, or they'd start buying cigarettes from the cartels. This is just a no-brainer. And you know what else is a no-brainer? Subscribing to this channel if you enjoy the videos. It really does help a lot. But anyway, you know, I'm sure if this were to happen, some people would swap over to vaping in order to get their nicotine fix, which Biden isn't looking to regulate, by the way, so it's easy to tell that this is actually much less about nicotine and much more about cigarettes. But without a doubt, there would be a lot of cigarette smokers that would turn to cartel-operated black markets. Without a doubt, if 11.6% of American adults smoke cigarettes right now, that's about 29 million people. Hey, that's a pretty big market, and personally, I think it would be best if we kept those people as far away from the cartel as possible. And you know what? Yeah, ideally no one would smoke cigarettes. Wouldn't that be great? But guess what? We live in reality and we have to approach reality with realistic expectations and realistic solutions, and this just isn't one of them. Now, here's what I wonder. Do we have any expert opinions weighing in on this? You know, people that have spent their entire lives researching stuff like this?
The former assistant director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Rich Marianos, told Fox News a nicotine ban would be a gift to organized crime, such as cartels. He said, quote, it's going to keep America smoking, and it's going to make the streets more violent, end quote. Other critics estimate the black market for cigarettes would be worth tens of billions of dollars.
Well, there you have it. The experts at the ATF agree with us. This plan is idiotic. But now here's the thing. As I see it, there are really 3 big issues at play here, and so far we've actually only talked about one. You see, while it is 100% true that cartels would step in to fill the void, creating a black market for cigarettes, it's actually much worse than that. That's not even the worst part. Every year in the United States of America, there are around 75,000 unintentional fentanyl overdoses, and as you might have heard, we right now have a big issue with fentanyl. And so here's the thing. Many of those overdoses are a result of people taking some other drug, some other substance that they didn't even realize was laced with fentanyl. Meaning that many of these people that end up overdosing didn't even have an idea that they were taking fentanyl in the first place. And so it's the cartels that are putting fentanyl into everything else in order to make people addicted and to drive up business. So you tell me, if there's a massive cartel operated cigarette black market, do you think the cartels will be putting fentanyl into people's cigarettes? The answer is absolutely yes. And so then what happens is that not only are people addicted to nicotine and still smoking cigarettes, they're potentially getting addicted to opiates now as well. Great. But now here's the massive third issue. And by the way, as someone that doesn't smoke cigarettes, this is more of a principled issue rather than a personal issue. As bad as cigarettes are, I don't think Joe Biden has any right to effectively ban them less than 2 weeks before leaving office. If something like this is to happen, this is something that should be left up to the American people. Because we're supposed to be a democratic republic after all, remember that? And so I'll say it again, I'm personally not a big fan of cigarettes, but out of principle, this isn't something that the president should be able to decide by himself, especially after getting ousted by the people. If the people wanted Joe Biden to pass radical new policy like this, they would have voted for him. Oh yeah, I forgot, that's right, they actually couldn't even vote for him because his own party, the DNC, replaced him with some lady, Kamala, that nobody even voted for. But you know what I mean, the point stands. In order to make sweeping change like this, you need to have the support, you need to have the will of the people, and Joe Biden very clearly doesn't have that. And so this entire situation is anti-democratic, it empowers the cartels, and it will 100% backfire and cause more damage than it's worth. I guarantee you this will just exacerbate the ongoing fentanyl crisis if this happens. But you know what, when you really think about it, this proposed change to cigarettes really is just status quo for the Biden administration, isn't it? It's just another half-baked idea from Joe Biden's half-baked brain that very clearly no one in the Biden administration has really thought about. In fact, maybe I'm about to be more generous to Biden than I should be by saying this, but it's possible that there was actually some amount of good intention behind this. Cigarettes are bad, so let's ban them. It's a very simple thought really, but as they say, the path to hell is paved with good intentions, and as we've discussed, this entire idea is riddled with problems. And so really, ideas like this need to be exposed to public scrutiny so that all of the issues can be worked through publicly, then voted on. The people need to be given a decision, their voices need to be heard on stuff like this, not pushed through in the last possible moment by a president that just got kicked out of the White House. Because for those of you that have been paying attention, you might have noticed that it's half-baked progressive policy like this that have ultimately seriously deteriorated our country. Sometimes the policies are neatly wrapped, they have a nice bow on top, and they seem good at first glance, but if you really start picking them apart, they just completely crumble under the slightest amount of scrutiny. But hey, you know what? I think that's all I've got for you guys today, so let's hope that this terrible piece of policy doesn't end up getting pushed through at the last minute. But as things stand right now, really anything could happen. It really could go either way. So hey, I want to know what you guys have to say about this, so please go down below and drop a comment. Please like the video, but only if you liked it. Please subscribe, it's huge and it really, really does help a ton. Thank you all very much for watching, and as always, stay safe.